agreement with it. So once he said that, anything after that falls in my favor, he couldn't argue it. So that's where he messed up at. When they ruled in my favor and he wanted to argue it, he had no rooms for argument. Because on record, you already said that you was in agreement with the motion being filed and you wasn't challenging it. So that killed you right there.
So I know it's a lot of what you just said right now. Unless you're involved and you have knowledge of the criminal justice system, a lot of people, they don't understand a lot of what you just said because they just not involved with the criminal justice system. And that's one of the problems with our community. We don't know a lot of this knowledge, and when you don't know this knowledge and you get put in these situations, you have to learn in the situation. That's the worst position to be in, especially when your life is on the line and you have to learn about how to properly advocate for yourself.
You know, in certain schools, they do mock trials.
They do.
They do mock trials, and that's something that we need to do.
We definitely do, and we shouldn't. I feel like we definitely need to do that, and we need to learn this legal system, and we should not rely on these institutions to do it. We should have something in our own community that we put together that we could teach people in our community how to conduct themselves in these arenas and how to advocate for themselves. Right now we're counting down on the time for this episode, but I definitely want to give you the opportunity to give some closing words to people watching this podcast. If it's something that you wanted to let the governor know, let the courts know, let people behind the walls know, let their families know, anything that you would want, parting words you would want to leave to people before we close this podcast.
I would want my brothers just that's still incarcerated and stuff, don't stop fighting. You know, if you've been in there 20-25, one brother that's in there, me and him became real close, and I haven't even hit him since I've been out, and I gotta reach out to him, man. That's on me, man. He my brother.
What's that brother name?
I love him. It's his brother named Darryl Valentine.
Darryl Valentine.
You know what I'm saying? That brother right there, I know his case like I know my case, and he called a raw deal. You know what I'm saying? The brother ain't do that, man. But
we're gonna be one of the episodes that we're gonna be having in the future. We hope to reach out to Darryl Valentine's family and interview Darryl Valentine, because you're right, his case is crazy. That's really an innocent brother that's behind the walls, and he need all the support he can get from the community for his freedom.
Yo, they overturned his case, and he went back to trial again and everything. You know, people like, yo, why you go back to trial? They go from this and that. I said, because you have to understand something. When you didn't commit something, you didn't do nothing, yourself, your conscience is not gonna allow you to go against what you feel. Like, I had to take that 20 years, you know, I felt like, man, I felt bad. I felt real bad. I felt like, yo, bro, I cried, man. I didn't even cry when they gave me the 100 years, but when they gave me the 20, I cried because I'm like, I had to compromise. I had to set aside, not even my pride. I had to set aside my ideology of who I am as a human being and who I am as a person, who I develop into. You know what I'm saying? I'm Muslim. You know, I love Islam. You know, even my family respect the fact that I'm Muslim, my mother and everything. You know, but at the same time, I'm a human being. And I feel and think just like everybody else and stuff. When to take that 20 years is like, man, I gotta do this, man. 14 and a half years. Yeah, I did 14 and a half years. But in that 14 and a half years, I bettered myself as a human being. I educated myself, college and all that. You know what I'm saying? And I only ask brothers that's in there like, yo, man, continue to educate yourself. So that way when you do attain your freedom, you know what to do when you get out here. Because most brothers, they don't address their self in there. You have to address yourself in there. You have to address what's wrong with you in there. Because most of us, what we do, we get in there, we suppress these inner demons.
Definitely.
We suppress them. We suppress them to the point in which where when we get free, they rise up. After a certain amount of time being free, these inner demons come out. And when these inner demons come out, they lead to other things. Either alcohol, drugs, or they lead to crime. You know what I'm saying? Or they lead you to a path in which where you find yourself now, you about to get your whole head knocked off. You know, and it's like, people don't really understand the integral parts of when a person charged with something that, like, you don't know the inner dealings. You don't know what's going on. You're just looking at it from the outside because this is what the media is putting out there. I don't have a communications degree. I'm not a journalist. So a lot of stuff that's being put in the media and put out there in the newspaper and stuff, this is written by somebody that this is their job. Their job is to create
a narrative.
Yeah, narrative.
A narrative that's appealing to the masses or appealing to
that's
the
like if you go read the articles they wrote up on me. You thought I was a black Charles Manson, the way they wrote it up. And the guy, before he became an anchor man, he was Keith Coombs. Soon after my case, he became anchorman because he followed my case. That's one dude I would like to sit down and talk to. Like, remember my case? This is such and such and such. But right now, I ask people, like, I don't want to start trying to find an area like at the library, whoever not busy, come on these days, and we're gonna sit down and we're gonna go over some law.
Is there some contact information for people watching this? If they wanted to reach out to you, because you're starting this initiative where you're inviting people. I know COVID exists, you know, people can't come to the library, but I mean, if people contact you, you know.
Yeah, it's like for instance, you got brothers that got charges, right? They might be out on bond. You got a couple brothers that know something about the law. Meet me here at the library. All right, let me go look at your case. All right, you want to talk to your lawyer about this right here. You want to make sure you make it known to the courts that you boom, boom, boom. You know, because some brothers don't know what to do in certain situations when they're in these courts. They don't say nothing.
Yeah, and we definitely want to like let it be known that we're not saying that don't listen to your lawyer. We're an entity that's gonna be giving you legal advice and we're your lawyer. We're definitely not saying that. What we're saying is it's a reality.
Educate
that
yourself.
People don't know the law. So to talk to people that have experience of going through the law so it can assist them when they're talking to their lawyer, especially people from the community that people trust, that's the plus.
Yeah.
We gotta have these entities within the community where people in the community can ask lay questions like, hey, you know, this, that, and the third, and they can get answers based off of personal experience.
You can't advocate for nobody if you don't know their situation.
Exactly.
And that's the whole thing. You got a lot of people out here, these organizations advocating for people but don't know the situation.
Yeah.
Because you're just taking a paycheck.
That's true. We're coming to the end of the show. Brother Ryan, I just want to thank you again for speaking about your situation, what you've been through, your experience.
No, thank you, man. Because me and you poly all the time. You know, this is the first time I ever talk about this. You know that. You kept always telling me from the moment I came home, yo, let me put your story out there. But I never talked about it because it affected me to a point. People don't know how emotionally this affected me. You know, I watched my mother have a stroke behind this case. Mother had a stroke behind this case, man. I lost my uncle while I was in there, and this man right here was real detrimental in my life. Like, I think that I didn't grow up with my father, but he was like my father. And that man, the relationship that I had with that man right there, bro, and I'm talking about, yo, when they first arrested me, my uncle was like, yo, what you do? Kill somebody, man, with me. You know, I never talked back to my uncle. But that one day I did it. I said, yo, man, you don't gotta effing support me on this and that. Yo, if I tell you I ain't do, I told you. And I hung up on him. Well, until my uncle started going to court and start seeing it for itself. That man sat across from me in county jail, man, through that glass. He said, yo, first and foremost, I want to say to you, nephew, I apologize for not believing in you. I ain't never seen my uncle cry, man. When I blew trial, my uncle came and my uncle was in tears, bro. This man 6'8", left college, take care of his other siblings and everything, bro. My uncle, right, that dude right there was like, he the one made me like want to fight. Cause he said to me, he said, yo, man, you don't give up. You fight. I'll be out here on the other end to handle what I need to handle for you. My uncle, when I need this dictionary, laws, black's law like that. Yeah, all my books, all my legal books, my uncle was getting them for me. My uncle was getting, yo, I need this book right here, man. I need it on jury selection. I need this on how you approach evidence. You know what I'm saying? You got books. These the same books that law students read. And you can obtain these books. You don't have to buy the brand new book. You can get a used book.
You know what I was thinking as you were speaking? I was thinking of how instrumental your uncle was, and like how much of a resource just that one person was in your life and what it meant to the outcome of the situation with you. And I was just thinking to myself when you were saying that, I was like, man, everybody involved with that system should have that type of support, because it'll change the outcome of what happens in those situations. And I was just thinking, your uncle was one person, and it only took one person. You only had to have that one person that believed in you, that was in your life and that was instrumental in your life from the beginning. And I'm thinking to myself, as a community, some of these, because of how this criminal justice system has destroyed families, destroyed communities, some families just don't have that uncle, don't have that family member that's going to step up for them. And with them not having that, as a community, we need to create that resource within the community.
See, within our families,
that uncle that's not there,
the structures
we
in our
gotta hold
families,
it, like even now.
the structures in our families, and I'm gonna be real with you, the structures in most African American families is splinter. That's splinter. And the reason why I say this is because it's like everybody's not on one page. The daughter got a big screen TV,
But that's because of the system.
The parents is this, the parents is that. It's like we have to take it back to the basics. We have to bring it back to the basics. When I say bring it back to the basics, it's like our black families got to get to know each other all over again. The mother got to get to know the father got to get to know the mother.
But the thing
the
about it
get
is,
to know the kid.
if the father's in jail, the father's not gonna. And this is what. And we
I'm not talking about brothers that's incarcerated. I'm talking about brothers that's out here free now because.
But this system has affected brothers one way or another. Even if you out here, if you on probation, you got to go to these programs. You are affected by this system to a capacity where it takes away.
Yeah.
How you're even showing up in a household. Because if you could go to a house, if you're a father or you're one of the family members, you're the mother, and you're coming home from jail, you on probation, you're a convicted felon, you can't get a certain job because you're a convicted felon, but your kid is looking in your face like, mommy, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. Now you feeling inferior as a provider for your family because of the system. And so now that interferes with your interactions with your partner. It interferes. A lot of times, men are at that end of that bad end of the stick, because the majority of the 10,000 people that's incarcerated in Connecticut, 8,000 of them are men, 2,000 are women. So it just it just shows like the majority of people, these households are black and brown men that are incarcerated or involved with this system, and that's 8 8,000 families that's affected. There's 8,000 families that's affected. 2,000, that's 10,000 families that's affected across the state.
And then you're not, it doesn't help because they're not doing anything to make it to where you're productive when you get out of there. That whole situation in there is just like, you stuck.
That's why one of the blessings is brothers like me and you, and there's more people across the state that actually been through the system, speaking out and creating real resources to support people coming out of the system. Because there's even family members that are doing the time with their loved one behind the walls that's recognizing the same thing that we're recognizing. They seeing it. They seeing like, hey, my loved one don't got no support when they come home. I want this, that, and the third support set up for my loved one when he comes home. And they're like, hey, we need to create these resources. So I feel like this is definitely a conversation that we're gonna have.
We have to.
You have
to because it has to be more opportunities for brothers when they come out.
Definitely.
Because I know when I came home, they had a lot of these programs and stuff. You can go do this, you can go do that, but you couldn't get. It didn't lead up to nothing. It just led up to somebody making money off you.
That's because we didn't start the program.
Yep.
We didn't start the program. We didn't say, hey, this program need to consist of this, that, and the third, because this is what the brother need and the sister need to thrive and be successful out here. And I invite anybody that's been incarcerated, brothers or sisters, family members of those that have been incarcerated, let's sit down and let's come up with real resources to support people that are still going through the system, still involved. My contact information is attached to this podcast. It's gonna be in the disclaimer. It's gonna be on a banner. Please reach out to me. If you want to reach out to Ryan Myers and find out some of the initiatives that he's involved with in the community, definitely reach out to me. I'll give you his information, and I'll always support whatever this brother's doing in the community. Because this brother, what he overcame and what he's still out in the community doing and what he's striving for is commendable. And we want to support people like that in our community and be behind them. So again, Ryan, I want to thank you for being on this podcast and sharing your experiences. And I also want to thank you for being so open and being a change in the community, for inspiring people. Thank you, man.
And to my brothers incarcerated, man, hold your head up.
Definitely, brothers and sisters behind the walls, hold your head up. You got a community of people out here that support you and love you, and we're never gonna forget about you. And we stand in solidarity with you. My name is J.O. Richardson. This is Resilience Behind the Walls, and thank you for watching this